Hey there, chart friends. Lamont here from Chart Guys, checking in on the electric vehicle sector and that one win name. All right, I will be honest with you. I don't remember where the original zone of interest was. Oh no, I traded it today, and I don't know if I moved it or. Oh, I remember now. Actually, we were looking for the daily 12 and hourly oversold conditions, so maybe I moved it. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that was from today's setup that I did. I don't know if my apologies. Either way, we are Tesla bulls are looking for a daily higher low, and anything over 401.66 will be one. We have yet to test the 12 EMA, which I'm kind of using as the guide for these videos because I have to plan for the next day. So yeah. That being said, today we came down and got hourly oversold, and this zone of interest was just marked off based on these levels here. So if you see, I just use these pivots roughly, right? So you get these pivots there, you get these pivots there, and get that little top there. And so you can see it lines up with my zone of interest roughly. Typically, I'll mark off 3 levels, draw a zone of interest with some wiggle room, making sure to begin my scales when the hourly becomes oversold, and then we'll see how it goes. And today, I believe this was a bit premature, actually. I'm not quite sure why I did it like that, but I had like 5 different bounce plays. So I don't know. But that's kind of why I like to use larger ranges, right? Because although you'll have to size down, if you use a larger range, then you have a higher probability of success, especially if you're starting your scales, your range, when, again, there's extension, right? So anyway, we're still looking for that higher low. The hourly bounce was good, but we're struggling to get over the 12 and 26 EMA. The bull set a higher low here at, let me clear this. The bull set an hourly higher low here at 556, but also a lower high at 569.80. So, ideal situation for bulls tomorrow will be to show up, defend this low of 556, break to higher highs over, well, I guess really just over this one, over 569.80, and ideally both levels at the same time, 571.54, to see some follow through, and then have bulls thinking that potentially that daily higher low has been set. Yep. So just watching for that hourly trend going into tomorrow. That will be our guide heading into the trading day, and it looks like there's probably a trend line here that we can be monitoring. Okay, so a potential trend line that's also lines up with these highs here. A couple of highs, 1 and 2, got put in here. A bottom got put in there as well. So definitely a contentious level. In the short term, if we were to get 5-minute overbought, that's likely a good place for a short. At least for just a quick day trade, right? So I'm not going to really set it up because it can be very different tomorrow. But basically, if you come into this zone and you have 5-minute overbought, then that's a pretty decent area. There's all this chop, those bottoms as we mentioned, and this trend line. It's a pretty good shot in my opinion. But I mean, if you're looking for a trend trade, if you're a trend trader, right, and the bulls do get follow through there, that will be a lot of space for an hourly higher low. And so if you're a bull and they get that break tomorrow, that hourly higher low is the play that you're looking for. Okay, and just look left as always. So potentially maybe that might be a good level where if you get follow through there, maybe you'll find that higher low there. It would line up with the 12 and 26 perhaps. And so ideally the bulls will get follow through tomorrow, come back and test this hourly 12 and 26 EMA in 5-minute oversold conditions to have us confident in bottom fishing. If, however, the bears are able to show up tomorrow, defend this high of 569.80 and break to lower lows under 556, and of course ideally under 541.21, which is quite a bit away. I wouldn't be surprised by an inside bar day tomorrow. Yeah, it's pretty large range, but we'll see. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If the bears can see follow through, well, then we would just be scouting that daily higher low still. There's so much time. Ideally, we'll just bounce a little bit and chop about, go sideways, maybe consolidate ideally not this long again, but something similar, right? We'll get a consolidation pattern, some sideways, and then ideally mark up again. I mean, if you're a bull, ideally. All right, so oh man, I moved them all. I do apologize. It was a wild morning. I put on a bunch of trades simultaneously, so I mean, I guess I shouldn't delete that. So I removed the, I think I did at least. I removed the zones from yesterday. Yeah, I apologize for that. Unless those were it. Gosh. Whatever the case may be, plans were changed, right? Yesterday I started off with a position at the end of the day because the hourly did get oversold into the end of the day. So I started my scales actually yesterday, and then obviously there was a big gap down. And I think I initiated again in pre-market, and then in the room I pointed out this level. And so, essentially I was happy to scale more there, but that I was already a bit bigger than I anticipated because that was my first scale. I intended 3 scales like this, I believe. I believe this was up here. Yeah, and so when we got that gap down and we were already extended, I just popped off another another scale, and then I grabbed the third one down there. I was happy to complete these positions, but we got the bounce right from there. And if you're new to these videos, if you're like one of the 20 people that isn't a member watching these videos, I do encourage you to not necessarily join the chart guys, but to get into a community where people you can get more eyes on potential setups or whatnot. So here I'll show you guys. Let's see. I guess I shouldn't. All right, so when the trading day started, we just we shared this setup, right? We pointed out this level, and if you're looking to make plays, then it's really helpful, honestly, to with people who are doing the same thing that you're doing, right? Oftentimes they'll do things a little differently. You'll get some perspective. You can evaluate your own methods, whatnot. Anyway, so yeah. Now that daily higher low, we're not confident in it being set. Oh, actually, no, we did. No, yes, we're not confident in the daily higher low being set yet because we don't have this hourly trend change. But obviously, this is a ton of space for the bulls to do so. So ideally, tomorrow the bulls will show up, defend this low of 38.43, break to a higher high over 48.97 to see the hourly trend change and see some daily bounce follow through. I would anticipate a lower high under 55.55. I think that about covers it. Let's see. Yeah. So tomorrow we'll be looking for that hourly higher low, and anything over 38.43 will be one. If you are looking for that higher low, then ideally you'll do your shopping in 5-minute oversold conditions, but I don't know if it'll get that deep considering how strong this bounce is. We'll have to see. Like hourly 5-minute oversold is ideal when looking for that hourly higher low, but you don't always get it. But if it were to print, like maybe, I really don't want to set up those 5-minute plays. There's too much data, to change them. But again, just any, mark off, maybe pull a fib, right? I like to do that very often. If you don't want to, you're lazy, you don't want to look left and dig out some actual pivots. That fib is a good shortcut, right? So wherever the 5-minute gets oversold, you take 3 fib levels, right? So let's say the 5-minute would be oversold at 50. Take the 50, gold in the 786, and then stop under this hourly low, and then just manage your risk appropriately for those scales. And that's like a lazy, I call it the lazy man's way of trying to grab a higher low. All right. And I just want to point out this channel, right? We're talking about that channel the other day, how we were confident in this channel. Bingo, bango. All right. And I can show you, I mean, I'm not, I'm not like, let's see. All right. So play it out like this. So yesterday I grabbed that fill, and then I was always intending on 3 scales, and so I had that pre-market fill, and then another one down there at the lows, and then scaled out into the bounce. And you know, obviously it played out really well, but even if it was like, even for a lower high, you can see where my target was, it blew past it. But my point is that it's you want to space these, the further out you're willing to space these scales, which is why I always suggest sizing down for your risk management. Like if your maximum risk tolerance is 2%, I suggest you run with like 0.5%, and then you'll know that you have wiggle room if things go a little bit sideways. Yeah, I find that to be the best kind of approach for sizing to improve the hit rate. All right, I am rambling. Okay. NKLA. All right, so it looks like that short. Both sides? Did both sides work out? Let's see. So we're just looking for, we were looking out for this base to get tested. It did get tested again. And nice little bounce from there. I forget if that was, this was for today actually. So, all right, so this short did work out for, you only got one fill on that short, and just want to make sure that we were doing so in 5-minute overbought conditions, and they were. So, you know, I'm telling you, that's the ticket. So let me kill this long box because it's there's a lot of lines here. So if you did take this short, then you know you honestly don't feel terribly great about it. Obviously you had a ton of space for profit taking to protect your position, but you don't really want to see this EQ, right? When you got this short here, ideally we would have taken out some supports instead of printing this higher low here. So now we have this EQ to watch going into tomorrow. And the good thing, however, is that, you know, you have a little bit of everything for somebody now, right? Because depending on how this EQ breaks, if we can get extended into up here, into this range that we had been watching previously, or if we can get hourly extended down into this lower range, then, you know, there's a play for everybody here, right? So for the short, we'll rock it like that, right? We're in our zone of interest, and I'm being a bit lazy by not looking left and marking off, but you always want to make sure that there's price action to support your zone of interest, okay? And I can tell that there's some chop zone here, and I know that we've marked off these green rectangles as like rough guides. So for tomorrow, if you're looking short, you definitely can be shorting off of this in hourly overbought conditions, ideally. Just looking for maybe a test of the center of the range. And then if you're looking long and this lower range gets tested again, that would be great. I guess this is a trend line, this pink thing. I'm not quite sure. So many charts, so little time. Oops. Let's see. Oh, something like that, maybe. Something for everybody. Let me see what this trend line is. Okay, so I think it was like the wedge trend line. It got a little break there, I know, but a lot of good hits. So I don't hate it. I wouldn't mind it. Yeah. Okay, so longs can be fishing the range. Same thing for shorts. It's the same. And you also, for shorts, I actually prefer the short because you have the daily 12 and 26 EMA offering potential resistance as well. So even looking at these fills, like that's another thing, right? Once you have your zone of interest marked off on one time frame, if you zoom out, you want to make sure that it fits the context of the higher time frame as well. So I can see here that we'd have the pivot, we'd have the 12 and 26 EMA, we had this potential gap fill. These are all good reasons for a potential short, and we have this, you know, these levels here, right? So, yeah, something for everybody for NKLA. Bulls are just hoping that we can be basing. Still looking for that monthly. Still looking for a monthly higher low. Amazing. All right. Okay, so WKHS, potential monthly bull flag, eh? Potential monthly bull flag, but we do have also a head and shoulders pattern. I know that on the daily it just looks like a, you know, like a big chop. Let's see. Yeah, I guess we should be concerned about this potential head and shoulders. It's not the cleanest look. I don't love when it's like a flag like that as the left shoulder, but I've definitely seen that occur. Ultimately, the head and shoulders is really just a trend change, right? We're going from higher lows and higher highs to lower highs and lower lows. So regardless of whatever you want to call it, that is something that we should be mindful of. So WKHS had a nice strong bounce today. Did we hit? What? Oh, I remember now. WKHS was the leader. It was dumping in after hours, so obviously we did not enter our zone of interest. Although this trade laid out was good. Wow, look at that. That's funny. Oh, no, that was the other day. Just kidding. All right, so we don't need that anymore. Just distractions. So this trade is still live, honestly. If we can get hourly overbought into this zone, I still like this trade for the short side. We have the trend line. We have this S1 here regarding price action. A bunch of bottoms got put in at this level. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. So little congestion area here. I like this short still. Looking for that daily lower high. Okay, the 12 and 26 is a bit further down though, so it would be wild if it got up there tomorrow. But you know, if it can get up there at all, I like it. If it's hourly overbought and a short against this trend line and those price action levels. That being said, if you are looking long, the bulls did change the hourly trend today. There's not a lot of follow through yet, but they did get it. Right, so they had it like that. So no follow through on this initial one, and then now we have another one, a higher low and higher high, with still no follow through at the moment. So ideally for bulls tomorrow, they'll see follow through over this high of 2095 to get this daily bounce going, and have bears scouting for that daily lower high. Anything under 2842 will be one. If you're looking bullish, you can be playing the break, I guess. This is a situation where I don't hate that, but I personally, I very rarely play breaks. I don't love that, but I wouldn't fault you, right? So if the bulls can show up tomorrow and break, this high of 2095 while holding this low of 1965, and I don't think it's unreasonable to like come test these lows. So something like that, buying that break. But, you know, obviously buying breaks is not the best RR. Yep. And NEE. All right, so pretty sweet. Didn't get into our... Is that where we wanted? Did not get into our zone of interest. Did not get hourly oversold, but this wedge is alive. It is very much alive now. I mean, it remains alive, I should say. Let's see. I'm not going to concern myself too much with the trend line, but the idea is that this base continues to hold. So as long as this base continues to hold, the bulls are doing fine. They're showing up to play defense. They're just not playing any offense. But to get that bear break with no follow through straight into a bounce, you know, and close at the high of the day is a pretty good look for bulls. So if you initiate off of this zone, if you were a bit more aggressive, then you can be looking to target the middle of the range or even the top of it. Let's see. Now, that being said, what are we looking for now? The potential for this wedge break is definitely there, and whenever we pull back, we will be looking for an hourly higher low. Anything over 73.11 will be an hourly higher low. There's a lot of space for bulls to do so. So even if we reject from this trend line, there are plays to be had, and I wouldn't be surprised if, say, this level here, where it acted as some resistance on this bounce, and it was obviously some support down here, I would not be surprised if an hourly higher low prints there. So if we get into this area with 5-minute oversold conditions, then I would not be opposed to looking for that hourly higher low. And honestly, I at this point now, with this lower end of the range being defended so many times, like I don't even think it's a terrible idea to just like to just have scales down here, right? And just be prepared to scale down here whenever the hourly gets extended, if it were to, maybe even just the 15, because this shelf is really proving to be solid support. That being said, you know, you always want to run your stops, right? Because even though it's solid support right now, it can break. And so you just always want to manage your risk. Anyway, as long as we're range bound, we just want to stick to playing the range primarily. So if you're looking long, I would just be looking to grab that higher low. If looking short, then I would be patient and look for price to come up, test the pivot. The pivot just happens to be, the monthly pivot just happens to be stacked on to all these highs here. So I would not be surprised by at least an initial rejection, especially if the bulls are to run straight up into there. So shorts are going to be patient waiting for that, in my opinion. Just range bound. All right, I think that about covers it. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you all soon.